The quarantine had lasted for 17 years. Humanity remained confined to Earth after the visors arrived, claiming they came in peace. Their technology was centuries beyond what humans possessed, their crystalline ships hanging in the sky like ominous constellations. They offered protection and guidance, but never freedom. Jack Reed remembered the day the restrictions began. He was 12 when the visors installed the orbital defense grid, supposedly to protect Earth from hostile alien forces. Soon after came the ban on space travel, advanced physics research, and any technology that might help humans leave their planetary cage. Now 29, Jack worked as a network engineer at one of the few remaining independent server farms. The visors monitored most digital communications, but they hadn't quite grasped the creative potential of human video games. "They're looking in the wrong direction again," said Ellie Morgan, sliding into the chair beside him in the underground meeting room. 30 others filled the space, faces illuminated by the blue glow of screens. They called themselves the Builders. "The visors are investigating universities for quantum research," Jack confirmed. "They haven't noticed our little project." Professor Alan Wright, a former NASA physicist, stood at the front of the room. His weathered face carried the gravity of someone who'd once touched the stars, only to have them stolen away. "The encryption channel within Minecraft is holding. The visors believe we're just playing games." The irony wasn't lost on them. While the aliens carefully monitored scientific facilities, the Builders had turned Minecraft, a game about creation, into their secret weapon. Within its seemingly simple voxel world, they'd hidden the most sophisticated physics simulator ever created. "Our calculations show they've been lying," said Maya Torres, the group's astrophysicist. She pulled up a 3D model disguised as a Minecraft build. "The visors aren't protecting us from external threats. They're containing us. Earth isn't a sanctuary. It's a prison." "And why?" asked Tom Wilson, a former military engineer. "Because they fear us." Jack looked around at the unlikely resistance. Gamers, scientists, engineers, united by one shocking discovery. The alien model of physics was fundamentally flawed. Within Minecraft's concealed simulator, the Builders had discovered principles that would allow humans to outmaneuver visor technology. "The data from our latest simulation confirms it," Maya continued. "Their crystalline ships are vulnerable to the warp field generated by our theoretical drive design." "Not just theoretical anymore," Alan interjected, his voice steady with determined pride. "Thanks to Jack's distributed processing network and the combined computing power of 50 million unsuspecting Minecraft players, we've solved the final equations." Jack felt the weight of what they were about to attempt. "So we're really doing this? Building an actual ship?" Ellie nodded, her eyes reflecting the determination that had driven their underground movement. "The visors have kept us grounded for almost 2 decades. It's time humans returned to the stars and showed them exactly what they were afraid of." The meeting ended with a simple message distributed through their secure channel. "Operation Uridisto begins tomorrow." The rebellion had started in a video game. It would end among the stars. The abandoned salt mine in Nevada provided perfect cover. 300 feet below the desert, the Builders had spent 5 years constructing their vessel in modular sections, disguised as mining equipment when transported. Minecraft was just the beginning, Jack explained to the newest recruits as they descended in the freight elevator. "The game gave us a platform to solve the theoretical problems. Now we're building the real thing." The elevator doors opened to reveal an enormous cavern housing a sleek spacecraft unlike anything in human aerospace history. Unlike the crystalline elegance of visor ships, this vessel was distinctly human, all angles and purpose, its hull composed of hexagonal panels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "We call her the Redstone," Tom said with undisguised pride. 97 meters long, crew capacity of 12, with an engine bay housing what we're calling the Euclidean drive. The recruits stared in wonder. One of them, a software engineer named David Cooper, whispered, "How did you get the materials past visor detection?" "Misdirection," replied Ellie, walking alongside them. The visors scan for radioactive materials and exotic particles. They don't look twice at commercial-grade alloys or repurposed satellite components. Maya added, and every piece was designed in Minecraft first, stress-tested in our physics simulator by millions of players who thought they were just building cool spaceships for a community event. The central command room of the Redstone hummed with activity. Dozens of engineers finalized systems, communicating through a specialized network isolated from the visor-monitored internet. On the main screen, a countdown showed 43 days until launch. "We're working against time," Alan explained gravely. "The visors are beginning to notice irregularities in global resource allocation. Small things, unusual patterns in rare earth mineral purchases, power fluctuations during our test phases." Jack led the group to the engine room, the heart of their rebellion. Here, nestled within layers of conventional propulsion systems, sat the culmination of their hidden research, the Euclidean drive. It resembled a series of interlocking rings surrounding a perfectly cubic chamber of darkness. "This is what they feared we might discover," Jack said softly. "The drive doesn't move through space, it folds it." The visors built their technology on a flawed understanding of spatial dimensions. "They can't follow where this will take us." David studied the engine with narrowed eyes. "You're saying we'll have technology superior to the aliens who've been occupying Earth for nearly 2 decades. "Superior is subjective," Maya answered. "Different is more accurate. The visors understand 11 dimensions. Our breakthrough came when we realized there's a 12th, one they've never detected." Tom gestured to a nearby workstation. Every component was tested virtually first. Over 3 billion combined hours of Minecraft players building variations of warp engines, all feeding data to our algorithms. The sheer audacity of their plan hung in the air. Humans using a video game to outthink their technologically superior overseers. "We launch in 43 days, Ellie reminded them. "Whether we're ready or not." "Why the rush?" asked one of the recruits. Jack's expression darkened. "Because we intercepted visor communications. Earth isn't just a prison. It's scheduled for processing. Whatever that means, it happens in 45 days. The stakes were clear. The Redstone wasn't just humanity's first true starship. It was potentially their last hope. "We can't take everyone." Jack's words fell heavy on the command team gathered around the holographic display. 22 days remained until launch, and an impossible decision loomed before them. "The Redstone can safely carry 12, Tom confirmed, his voice clinical to mask the emotion beneath. "We've stripped everything to essentials, but physics won't budge on mass limitations for the first jump." Alan studied the equations floating beside the ship schematic. "If the visors are planning to process Earth, we need to preserve more than just 12 humans. That's why we need the pod," Maya said, manipulating the hologram to reveal a smaller vessel nested within the Redstone's hull. A secondary craft carrying humanity's collective knowledge and genetic samples. Insurance for our species, even if the main mission fails. The escape pod, officially designated Backup 1, represented their contingency plan. While the Redstone would confront the visors directly, the pod could be jettisoned to carry a digital archive of human civilization and enough biological material to potentially restore the species. Ellie pointed to the pod's unusual design. "We've optimized it based on our most successful Minecraft builds. The outer shell incorporates elements of the Euclidean drive, which should make it harder for visor sensors to track." Construction of Backup 1 became Jack's personal mission. Each evening, he descended to the lowest level of their underground facility, where a specialized clean room housed the growing pod. Unlike the utilitarian Redstone, the pod was elegant, barely large enough for 2 people, with every cubic centimeter maximized for storage. "It's like a seed," David observed one night, helping Jack install the biological preservation systems. Everything needed to grow a new forest, packed into something small enough to be carried by the wind. "Poetic," Jack replied with a tired smile. "I was thinking of it more as humanity's black box." The work was painstaking. Using techniques refined through thousands of Minecraft simulations, they designed storage systems that encoded human knowledge into crystalline matrices, ironically similar to visor technology, but with distinctly human innovations. The Minecraft connection goes deeper than people realize, Jack explained to David. The game taught generations to think in systems, to build from fundamental components, to create complexity from simplicity. We're not just using it as a hiding place. We're applying its logic to actual engineering. Maya spent days perfecting the pod's navigation system. If the redstone fails, Backup 1 needs to reach the coordinates we've designated. It's programmed to wait precisely 50 years before attempting to contact any surviving humans. As the pod neared completion, the larger question remained: who would go on the redstone? The selection process had been deliberately delayed, each member of the builders knowing that choices meant life or death. 16 days before launch, Alan called the core team together. We need to finalize the crew manifest. Jack looked around at the faces of people who had become family during their years of secret work. We all know the criteria. The 12 who can contribute most to establishing a human presence beyond visor control. And the rest stay behind to face whatever processing means, Ellie said quietly. The silence that followed carried the weight of their situation. They had built an ark that could save only a handful, leaving billions behind. There's been a development, Maya finally said. I've been analyzing recent visor communications. Their processing isn't immediate extinction. It's conversion, turning Earth into some kind of resource extraction outpost. They're bringing in equipment to begin transforming humans into a labor force. How long would that take? Tom asked. Years, maybe decades. Which means, Jack finished her thought, which means the redstone isn't just an escape. It's potentially the first strike in a longer resistance. The plan evolved. Backup 1 would still carry the essence of humanity, but now with an additional purpose: to return if the redstone succeeded in its mission to confront the visors. As Jack sealed the final component of the pod, he placed his hand on its smooth surface. Plan A is we win, he whispered. Plan B is we survive. Launch day arrived with crimson skies, appropriate for Operation Redstone. Overnight, visor ships had changed formation, moving into what the builders recognized as a processing array. Time had run out. They're jamming conventional communications, Maya reported from her station in the Redstone's command center. The crew of 12 had been selected 3 days earlier, with Jack, Ellie, Alan, and Maya among them. Tom and David would remain behind, coordinating the ground resistance when, the visors began their processing. Final systems check, Jack called, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through him. Around the command center, the chosen crew worked with practiced precision, each movement rehearsed countless times in Minecraft simulations. Underground, the launch sequence had begun. The massive salt mine shaft above the redstone had been cleared, its former mining equipment repositioned to create a launch tunnel. When the moment came, they would have approximately 12 seconds to clear Earth's immediate airspace before visor detection systems locked onto them. Alan monitored the final diagnostics. Euclidean drive is nominal. Backup 1 is secured in Bay 3. Life support operating at optimal levels. Tom's voice came through on the secure channel from the control room, a safe distance away. Surface surveillance shows increased visor activity over major population centers. Whatever they're planning starts today. Jack exchanged glances with Ellie at the navigation console. They'd known this was coming, but the reality of leaving Earth, perhaps forever, hit harder than expected. All crew, secure for launch, Jack ordered. T-5 minutes. The redstone hummed as power built in its conventional engines, the ones that would get them through the atmosphere before the Euclidean drive engage. In the final minutes before launch, each crew member performed their assigned task while wrestling with private thoughts of what they were leaving behind. Surface team, begin tunnel clearance, Alan instructed. Above them, the massive doors concealing the redstone from orbital surveillance began to slide open. Their meticulous planning had ensured this moment would coincide with a 4-minute gap in visor satellite coverage, a gap they had created by subtly altering several satellites' trajectories over the past year. T-minus 60 seconds, Jack announced. Euclidean drive presequence initiated. The unique engine, humanity's secret advantage, began its warm-up cycle. The interlocking rings around the cubic void started to rotate, creating a faint distortion in the air around them. Visor alert. David's voice broke through the comm system from the surface. They've detected the opening. Defensive systems activating. Jack's hands flew across the control panel. Override safety protocols. Launch now. The conventional engines ignited with a thunderous roar, pressing the crew into their seats as the Redstone surged upward through the tunnel. Acceleration built rapidly. The ship's reinforced frame handling forces that would have torn apart any conventional vessel. Visor intercept vessels deploying. Tom mourned. 30 seconds to intercept. The Redstone broke through the surface, climbing through the atmosphere with increasing velocity. On the main display, ominous crystalline shapes appeared. Visor defense ships moving to block their escape. Euclidean drive status. Jack called. Maya's voice was tight but controlled. Drive at 90%. We need altitude, at least 100 kilometers before activation. The ship shuddered as the first energy pulse from a visor vessel passed nearby. A warning shot. The next would not miss. Altitude 80 kilometers. 90, 95. Ellie counted off. Jack watched as the visor ships closed in, their crystalline structures gleaming in the sunlight. Everything they had worked for came down to the next few seconds. 100 kilometers, Ellie announced. Drive parameters met. Activate Euclidean drive, Jack commanded. Elen pressed his palm against the activation panel. Drive engaged. God help us. The cubic void at the center of the interlocking rings collapsed inward, creating a point of absolute darkness. For a heartbeat, nothing seemed to happen. Then reality itself appeared to fold around the Redstone. The last thing they saw before the view screens went white was the visor ships suddenly breaking formation, as if in panic. Then darkness, silence, and finally, stars unlike any seen from Earth. The Minecraft rebellion had escaped, and they were coming back. 3 years passed in the void between stars. The Redstone drifted in orbit around a nameless gas giant in an unremarkable solar system, hidden from visor detection by the planet's intense magnetic field. Here, the builders had established their first outpost, a small habitat anchored to one of the planet's rocky moons. Jack stood in the observation dome, watching the swirling storms in the gas giant's atmosphere. Sometimes I still can't believe we made it. Beside him, Maya nodded. The Euclidean drive worked better than our models predicted. The visors truly had no concept of the 12th dimension. Their escape had been only the beginning. The drive that carried them beyond Earth's solar system had revealed properties even they hadn't anticipated. Space folded differently than expected, depositing them far from their intended coordinates, but also beyond the reach of visor tracking technology. Any word from the latest probe? Jack asked. It reached the edge of our solar system yesterday, Maya replied. If it successfully makes the jump back to Earth orbit, we should receive data within the week. They had sent 7 probes already, each designed to gather intelligence on Earth's situation without being detected by visor technology. The first 6 never reported back. This 8th attempt incorporated everything they had learned about concealing objects in the 12th dimension. The habitat door slid open as Alan entered, his face grave. In the 3 years since their escape, he had aged visibly, the weight of their mission etched into the lines around his eyes. Council meeting in 10 minutes, he announced. Ellie thinks she's found something in the Minecraft archives. The Minecraft archives, an apt name for the data they'd brought with them, still encoded in the game's format. Every simulation, every design, every discovery made by their distributed network of unwitting players remained their most valuable resource. In the council chamber, Ellie stood before a holographic display showing complex structures that resembled Minecraft builds, but contained hidden layers of mathematical formulas. "We've been approaching this wrong," she began without preamble. "We've been trying to develop weapons to fight the visors directly. But the answer was in the game all along." She manipulated the display, zooming in on what appeared to be a simple Minecraft redstone circuit. This design was created by a 12-year-old player in Brisbane. He thought he was building a farm automation system. What he actually designed was a propagation pattern for dimensional displacement. Alan studied the pattern. "You're suggesting we use the 12th dimension not as a method of travel, but as a weapon?" "Exactly," Ellie confirmed. "If we can generate a large enough field, we could essentially phase the visors out of our dimensional reality without harming Earth or its population." Jack felt a surge of hope for the first time in months. How much power would that require? "More than the redstone can generate," Maya calculated, running simulations on her datapad. "We'd need at least 7 synchronized Euclidean drives." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Building one ship had required 5 years of secret work. Creating 7 more seemed impossible. "Unless," Jack said slowly, "we don't build them ourselves." Over the following days, a new plan emerged, audacious even by their standards. Using their knowledge of the visor's blind spot, they would return to Earth with the redstone. Not as conquerors, but as teachers. "We bring the knowledge," Jack explained to the council. "We show others how to build their own ships. We create a network of resistance cells, each constructing a single drive component. And we continue using Minecraft as our cover." Ellie added, "The game is still running on Earth's networks. We can distribute build instructions disguised as game updates." The 8th probe returned with startling news. Earth had not been fully processed. The visors had established conversion centers in major cities, but resistance was widespread. Humanity fought back with whatever tools they had, though none were truly effective against visor technology. "They need us," Alan said simply after reviewing the footage. "They need what we've learned." The return mission was prepared with meticulous care. The redstone would carry only a skeleton crew of 4, Jack, Ellie, Maya, and Alan, along with backup one, now repurposed to contain everything they had discovered about manipulating the 12th dimension. On the eve of their departure, the small community of builders gathered in the observation dome for a final celebration. Their outpost would remain, a safeguard should the Earth mission fail. Jack raised a glass in toast. 3 years ago, we escaped to survive. Now we return to fight. For Earth, the others responded in unison. As the redstone prepared to engage its drive once more, Jack thought about the improbable journey that had brought them here, from a simple video game to humanity's last, best hope. The visors had underestimated human creativity, human determination, and most of all, humanity's ability to find solutions in unexpected places. The Euclidean drive engaged, reality folded, and the redstone vanished from the outpost's sensors, bound for Earth, carrying with it the legacy of a rebellion born in Minecraft, and now poised to reshape the stars. The redstone emerged from dimensional space in Earth's shadow, hidden from immediate visor detection. Through the viewports, the crew beheld their home planet for the first time in 3 years, visibly altered by visor occupation. Atmospheric composition shows elevated metallic particles, Maya reported, studying sensor readings, consistent with large-scale visor construction. Jack magnified the visual feed, focusing on the night side of Earth, where once city lights had created familiar patterns across continents. Now strange crystalline structures glowed with an alien blue luminescence. The visors had begun terraforming Earth to suit their needs. North America appears to be the least affected, Ellie noted. The resistance must be stronger there. Their entry plan required perfect timing. Using the probe's data, they had identified a window when visor sensors would be recalibrating, a vulnerability created by human resistance fighters deliberately introducing signal interference at regular intervals. Descent trajectory plotted. Alan confirmed from the navigation console. "We'll enter atmosphere over the Pacific and make landfall in what used to be Northern California. The old redwood forests should provide adequate cover." The Redstone began its approach, running with minimal power to avoid detection. As they descended through cloud cover, the true extent of the changes became apparent. Vast stretches of landscape had been transformed into crystalline farms, strange angular structures harvesting unknown resources from Earth's crust. "They're mining something," Maya whispered. "Something they can't synthesize themselves." The ship touched down in a small clearing among towering redwoods, some over 1,000 years old. Even the visors had left these ancient sentinels untouched, perhaps recognizing something kindred in their longevity. "Defense perimeter active," Jack announced as the Redstone's external systems established a dimensional bubble that would hide them from casual detection. "We have approximately 72 hours before the visor's comprehensive scanning cycle detects the anomaly." With practiced efficiency, the crew prepared for first contact with the Resistance. From Backup 1, they retrieved specially designed communication devices, modifications of standard Earth technology integrated with elements of the Euclidean drive that would allow secure connections through the 12th dimension. "Signal detected," Ellie reported suddenly, her voice tight with surprise. It's coming from a Minecraft server." Jack moved to her station, staring at the display in disbelief. Through the dimensional scanner, they could see a faint trace of 12th dimensional energy, impossibly, emanating from a gaming server located approximately 20 miles from their position. "Someone on Earth discovered it," Maya breathed. "Someone figured out how to access the 12th dimension independently." Alan's weathered face broke into the first genuine smile Jack had seen in years. "They had our research. All those Minecraft builds we left behind. Someone continued our work." The decision was unanimous. Rather than wait for Resistance fighters to find them, they would follow the dimensional signature to its source. Under cover of darkness, they moved through the forest. Earth's gravity, slightly stronger than their outpost's artificial simulation, made each step more laborious than expected. The air smelled different, metallic undertones mingling with the natural scent of pine and soil. The signal led them to what appeared to be an abandoned mall, its structure partially reclaimed by nature. Solar panels, camouflaged with living plants, covered portions of the roof. A makeshift antenna array, disguised as dead trees, surrounded the perimeter. "Clever," Jack murmured. The visors would interpret this as random human ruins, not worth investigating. Inside, they found what remained of human civilization. Nearly 300 people had transformed the shopping center into a functioning community, complete with hydroponic gardens, living quarters, and a technological heart that immediately captured the crew's attention. In what had once been the mall's central court stood a server farm powered by the disguised solar array. And running on those servers was a version of Minecraft unlike anything they had left behind. Evolved, expanded, repurposed into a sophisticated simulation platform. A tall woman with close-cropped gray hair approached them, flanked by security personnel carrying modified weapons. "I'm Commander Wilson," she said, studying them with intense scrutiny. "Tom Wilson's daughter. He told me someone might come back someday." Jack felt his throat tighten. "Tom survived." "For a while," she replied evenly. "Long enough to preserve your research and distribute it through the game networks. Long enough to teach us what we needed to know." She led them deeper into the repurposed mall, to a chamber that left the Redstone crew speechless. There, partially assembled, was an unmistakable Euclidean drive, cruder than their own, but recognizably based on the same principles. "We've built 4 so far," Commander Wilson explained, "hidden in different locations around what's left of North America. We can generate small dimensional bubbles, enough to hide our operations from visor detection, but not enough to drive them away." "You need 7 synchronized drives," Maya said, remembering their calculations, "to create a dimensional shift large enough to affect the visors." Wilson nodded grimly. 7 drives, and we need them operational within 2 months." "Why 2 months?" Alan asked. Because that's when the conversion ship arrives. The visors have been preparing Earth for something bigger than occupation. They're delivering something that will complete the processing of our planet. Her eyes hardened. We've lost too much already. We can't lose what remains. Jack exchanged glances with his crew. The mission had changed. No longer would they need to convince Earth's survivors to build what they needed. The work was already underway. Instead, they would serve as the final piece of a resistance that had continued in their absence. We have the drive schematics from our outpost, Jack offered. 3 years of refinements and improvements. And we have backup one, Ellie added, with enough biological and cultural archives to restore what's been lost. For the first time, the commander's stoic expression softened slightly. Then perhaps Tom was right after all. He always said the game would save us in the end. That night, as the combined teams of Redstone crew and Earth Resistance began integrating their technologies, Jack found himself drawn back to the server room. On one of the screens, Minecraft continued to run, the familiar blocky landscapes now serving as the encrypted platform for humanity's most sophisticated scientific exchange. A young operator noticed his interest. "It works because they think it's just a game," she explained. "The visors monitor all scientific channels but ignore entertainment networks, so we build our real plans inside a virtual world." Jack watched as players from resistance cells around the globe collaborated on structures that, to informed eyes, were clearly components of Euclidean technology. "A virtual world that's saving the real one," he mused. "There's poetry in that." The rebellion that began in Minecraft had come full circle. The game that once concealed their research now united what remained of humanity in a final desperate effort to reclaim their world. And the visors still didn't understand what was coming. The conversion ship arrived precisely as Commander Wilson had predicted, a massive crystalline structure that dwarfed all previous visor vessels. It settled into geosynchronous orbit above the Pacific, pulsing with energies that distorted Earth's magnetic field and caused aurora displays visible even in daylight. From their hidden command center beneath the mall, Jack and the unified resistance monitored its arrival with grim determination. 2 months of frantic work had yielded results beyond what either group could have achieved alone. 6 Euclidean drives now stood ready, connected through the 12th dimension regardless of physical distance. The 7th, a modified version of the Redstone's own drive, would serve as the control node. "Final status report," Jack called out, his voice carrying across the bustling command center. Around him, former builders worked alongside Earth resistance fighters, the distinction between the two groups long since faded. Drive 1, Sydney, Australia, online and synchronized. Came the first response through their secure channel. Drive 2, Manitoba, Canada, online and synchronized. One by one, the reports flowed in from hidden facilities scattered across the globe. Each drive represented an impossible achievement, built from scavenged materials, powered by improvised energy sources, and constructed under constant threat of visor detection. Drive 6, North Sea platform, online, but showing power fluctuations. The voice belonged to David, who had survived the initial occupation and now commanded the European resistance. "We're balancing the load through secondary systems." Commander Wilson studied the holographic display showing Earth with the 6 drives positioned like acupuncture needles at specific geometric points. The 7th drive completes the pattern. Once activated, the dimensional field should propagate along these lines, creating a complete envelope around the planet, and pushing the visors into a dimensional phase they can't perceive or interact with. Maya confirmed, Earth will effectively disappear from their reality. Ellie, who had spent weeks fine-tuning the dimensional calculations, added a critical caveat. For 47 minutes. That's how long we can maintain the field before the drives burn out. Everything visor made must be destroyed or removed during that window. The plan had evolved beyond simply removing the visors themselves. Their technology, their structures, their conversion equipment, all of it had to be eliminated to prevent them from ever finding Earth again. The conversion ship begins its atmospheric approach in 6 hours, Alan reported, studying the telemetry. That's our trigger point. Across what remained of human civilization, resistance fighters prepared for their roles. Some would target smaller visor installations, while others would pilot whatever aircraft they had managed to salvage or rebuild, armed with weapons designed to exploit the weaknesses in visor crystalline technology. In the server room, Minecraft continued to run, no longer needed for covert research but maintained as a symbol and a communications backup. The game that had inadvertently saved humanity had become their unofficial standard, a pixelated flag of resistance. 3 hours to conversion sequence, Alan announced later, as the enormous ship began positioning itself for descent. Visor ground installations had activated, creating strange geometric patterns of energy across Earth's surface, a preparation for whatever process they intended to complete. Jack found Commander Wilson alone in a quiet corner of the command center, studying a faded photograph. He recognized Tom immediately, though the man in the image was much older than when Jack had last seen him. He would be proud, Jack said softly, of all of this. Of you. She nodded slightly, tucking the photo away. He never stopped believing you would return. Even at the end, he made me promise to keep the servers running, to keep building in the game. They'll need somewhere to land, he told me. Somewhere to find us. A warning klaxon interrupted the moment. The conversion ship had begun its final approach earlier than expected. The creature comforts of their timeline had just vanished. All drives to standby status, Jack ordered as he and Wilson raced back to the main control area. Prepare for emergency activation. On the main display, the massive ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, impervious to the few conventional weapons humanity managed to launch against it. Its crystalline surface refracted sunlight in blinding patterns as secondary structures began to unfold, enormous processing arrays designed to begin Earth's final conversion. All resistance cells, execute primary mission, Commander Wilson instructed through their secure channel. Drives activating in T-10 minutes. I repeat, dimensional shift in 10 minutes. Around the globe, the final phase of humanity's plan sprang into action. Stealth aircraft rose from hidden bunkers. Ground teams emerged from concealed bases. 3 years of careful planning culminated in a synchronized assault on visor installations worldwide. In the command center, Maya initiated the drive activation sequence. Field generator powering up. Dimensional resonance building. The Redstone's modified drive, their 7th point in the global array, hummed to life, its interlocking rings beginning their complex rotation pattern. The cube of darkness at its center pulsed with energies that seemed to bend light around it. 5 minutes to field generation, Ellie reported, monitoring the synchronization between all 7 drives. Sydney reporting visor response to their position. They're under attack. Manitoba holding steady. North Sea stabilizing power fluctuations. The reports continued as each facility fought to maintain their drives against increasing visor awareness of their plan. On the displays, the conversion ship had halted its descent, hovering ominously, as if sensing the trap being laid. 2 minutes, Maya called. Dimensional resonance at 80% and climbing. Jack watched as the holographic representation showed the building energy connections between the 7 drives. Lines of probability and quantum potential forming a complex web around the planet. Years of work, millions of hours of hidden calculations, all converging on this moment. 1 minute, Alan announced, his hand steady on the control panel despite the weight of their situation. Conversion ship deploying countermeasures. On the external cameras, they watched as the massive vessel released thousands of smaller crystalline structures. Defensive drones swarming toward detected resistance positions. They were too late. 30 seconds, Ellie called. All drives synchronized. Dimensional field stabilizing. 15 seconds, Maya continued. Point of no return reached. Field generation committed. Commander Wilson moved to stand beside Jack, both of them watching as humanity's final gambit unfolded. For Tom, she said quietly, For everyone we lost getting here. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiating dimensional shift. The Redstone's drive flared with impossible energies as the cubical void collapsed and expanded simultaneously. Throughout the command center, reality seemed to waver, solid objects momentarily transparent, light bending in ways that human eyes struggled to process. On the displays, the other 6 drives reported identical phenomena. The dimensional web snapped into place, encompassing the entire planet in a field of twisted spacetime that bridged the gap between conventional reality and the 12th dimension. Field established. Maya shouted over the rising hum of the drive. 47-minute countdown initiated. The effect on the visors was immediate and dramatic. Their crystalline technology, unable to perceive or interact with the shifted dimensional state, began to destabilize. The massive convergence ship shuddered visibly, its elegant structure suddenly brittle and vulnerable.